And welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
As weather conditions transition, so do our sports seasons. The basketball program has everyone on their toes with new head coaches, and the football team is winding down to their final 2 games. I don't know whether to cry because it's over or smile because we might get a new coach. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. We're so happy to have you here. I'm Kitty Diamond.
And I'm Brooks Crew. Auburn had quite the week out on the court, a bye week in football, and plenty of interesting new developments across all sports. We'll talk all of that and more tonight.
The new whispers around campus make it clear. People are asking, are we going to have the same top-tier basketball team, or was last year truly a one of one? Only time will be able to tell you with that one. Well, that and more reps on the court, and we all know that once basketball starts, there is no slowing down.
To kickstart last week, Auburn faced off against the Wofford Terriers for their 3rd regular season game. Here's sports reporter Vivian Kennel to tell us more about the Dogs coming to Neville.
I'm here in Neville Arena as number 22 Auburn looks to stay undefeated as they face Wofford in their military appreciation game.
From the opening tip, Auburn looked sharp, attacking the rim, sharing the ball, and setting the tone with pace. Keyshawn Hall took control early, scoring from all areas of the floor and energizing the home crowd with his physical play inside.
Yeah, Keyshawn Hall. That's it, just Keyshawn Hall. Keyshawn Hall.
Freshman Elijah Freeman matched that intensity, pushing the tempo and creating opportunities in transition. The Tigers' defense kept Wofford in check, holding them to just 22 first-half points. Coming out of halftime, Auburn stayed strong. Tahad Pettiford knocked down a quick 3, and Kevin Overton followed with 2 of his own, changing the momentum and building a lead that put the game out of reach. Hall and Freeman combined for 41 points, while Auburn's defense forced 13 turnovers. The Tigers' balance on both ends of the floor powered them to 93-62, but still as a new team, there is room to improve moving into the bulk of the season.
Great teams are going to play hard for 40 minutes, and I thought we played really hard for about 30. So got to put a complete game together for us to be able to beat the best teams on our schedule, and obviously we got a really good one on Sunday.
With the win, the Tigers move to 3-0 and will face their biggest test yet against number 1 Houston at Legacy Arena this Sunday, the 16th at 2 p.m. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Vivian Kennel.
The 22nd ranked Auburn basketball team faced down the number 1 Houston Cougars this past Saturday in Birmingham. Of course, the close proximity to Auburn meant that Tiger fans showed out in full force, earning the stadium the title of Neville North. Like Kitty said, everyone wanted to know how the Tigers would stand against a top-ranked foe. Here's Sophia Weber with more from the catfight in Birmingham.
The stage was set in Legacy Arena for the first true test of the number 22 Auburn Tigers. Their opponent, the number 1 team in the country, Kelvin Sampson's Houston.
With over 15,000 fans, it was a sea of orange and blue, but you could spot some scarlet. The early goings of this one were slow, and both coaches mirrored frustrations. Keyshawn Hall gave hope early, getting his own putback. At the half, it was Cougars by 4, and in a neck-and-neck game, it's hard not to talk about the factors down the stretch. And boy, was Chris Sinek a factor. He had 18 points to get it done in the paint and at the arc. Auburn found a spark from Elijah Freeman, who had his teammates in shock on this play. Not only does he get the poster, but he's fouled on the shot as well. This was not enough to silence Houston, as Tugler found a gap to jam it in himself. Clawing their way back into this one, the Tigers were never down more than 8. Tahad Pettiford showed up big time last year against Houston, and he was back again. Tugler was unguarded down low on a cut, contributing to Houston's 34 points in the paint. Things took a turn for the Tigers when Keyshawn Hall went down with visible pain in his ankle. Refusing to go to the locker room until he shot his free throws, his last play would cut the lead to 2. What hurt the Tigers the most? 12 missed free throws. Auburn was doing everything in their power to keep the ball out of Houston's hands late. Returning from injury, Keyshawn Murphy had the slam after Sebastian found him in the post. After forcing this shot in the final 30 seconds, Auburn would get the ball down 1 with 23 seconds. Falling short, here's Pearl's thoughts.
I have elite confidence in this group. But for us, it's about what we do from here.
It felt like March tonight, but let me assure you, it is November, and the Auburn Tigers still have a full schedule ahead, despite falling tonight 72-73 against Houston. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Sophia Weber.
Don't turn the TV off after our show tonight, as Auburn basketball is back in action at 8 p.m. Central against Jackson State. In this segment, we've seen dogs and cats face the Tigers, but this one will be Tigers on Tigers.
Right, as we got Keyshawn Murphy out on the court, we've suffered the loss of another star. The Tigers will be playing without their impact forward, Keyshawn Hall. So another big names like Tahad Pettiford and Elijah Freeman will have to step up in an effort to regain the Tigers' winning ways.
Now, I know the Tigers just came off a loss, but there's little doubt in my mind that the jungle won't be packed tonight. When we come back, Eagle Eye insider John Prowell will join me in the studio.
They will discuss all things football without Ashton Daniels, and for the first time, we will even have some basketball for them to break down.
Stick with us as we navigate the crossover season and give you all of the insider details. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. As promised, we've got some big basketball recaps and analysis for you here as the number 22 Auburn Tigers basketball team took on the number 1 Houston Cougars this past Sunday. John Prowell joins me now in the studio to discuss the game. And John, what stood out to you about Auburn particularly in this matchup, losing by just 1 point?
I would say the late game execution from Houston really hurt them and allowed the Tigers to get back in it. You know, Keyshawn Hall also contributed here, as we see, with 20 points. He had 11 rebounds and 1 assist. Was really dynamic in the game, but sadly went out with a lower body injury. And then Tahad Pettiford, he was great in the game, giving you 15 points, 1 rebound and 1 assist. He was overall just a dynamic player. He just shot the ball very poorly from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this Houston team is a very solid team, as Auburn has also proven themselves to be a very solid team. Now, they may run into Houston again, especially come March. Now, so who on this Houston team do you see continuing to be an issue for the Tigers or for any other team that the Cougars take on later this season?
Well, I would say the main guy was their big man, Kristen Eck Jr., who really just had his way in that game until he fouled out. He gave you 18 points, and the thing that stuck to me the most was his 2 3-pointers that he shot. And he hit 1 from 30 feet, which really wowed me and said, he can really shoot from that range. And then they had Kingston Fleming, who was their point guard, and is a freshman no less starting out for him. He gave us 22 points in the minutes he played. He was dynamic. He had 18 of those points in the first half and really just allowed himself to get to the rim at will. Also had a nasty step-back 3-pointer. He was just really having his way against Auburn.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, despite going down to the number 1 team by just, 1 point, Stephen Pearl doesn't seem all that comfortable with treating the upcoming matchup against Jackson State later tonight as a free win. Here's what he had to say in his press conference.
2 top 10 teams, so they're not going to be scared of coming in here to Neville to play Auburn. So our guys got to understand that, we got to have the same type of preparation that we did for Houston in order to get ready for a good Jackson State team. And, for us, it's all about just continuing to grow, continuing to build, and just try to get better each week, which I think our guys have,
Now, of course, there is basketball, but now Auburn football is back in action this weekend against Mercer. John, on this Mercer team, obviously it's an FCS school, but they're only 1 loss, or 9-1 on the season. Who on this team do you think is the reason that they're this way, and do you think they present a reasonable threat to the Tigers?
I got to be honest with you, Brooks. They're a scrappy 9-1. Their schedule may not look great playing only FCS opponents and dominating all the way, but 3 players that interest me the most will be starting with their quarterback, Braden Atkinson. He is a pocket passer. He is dynamic and has over 3,000 passing yards. Not only that, he has only had 1 game under 200 yards. I don't know about you, Brooks, but that's pretty good to me. Then they got their dynamic running back, who's pretty much just an inside threat. If they hand him the ball a lot of times, he's a high-volume guy, has over 20 carries a game, but he has over 800 rushing yards per game, and that's pretty dynamic for me. And then you got to get to their wide receiver, who is very incredible. has over 20 yards per reception, and has over 700 yards on the season. This Mercer team has some great overall talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get into, players to watch for this Auburn team, we got to talk about the biggest news of the week for Auburn football, and that is Ashton Daniels will be riding the bench against Mercer in order to preserve his red shirt for next season. Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight are scheduled to play. Now, John, what do you make of this decision?
I got to be honest with you, Brooks. I'm all for it. Not only are we preserving his red shirt for the Alabama game that we all know is a must-win for Auburn, but he can also coach the guys up on the sidelines. That's a mad underrated part of his game is he was brought in to be a leader, and that's really what the coach wants from here. Lead up and help the young guys such as Deuce Knight, help everybody in that quarterback room, provide a steady foundation for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping on that theme, I hear you have some key players for me.
I do. Let's start with number 1, Deuce Knight. He's going to be the guy that's probably starting, just my opinion, he should start for us. He's going to be a great young quarterback in any league he plays in going forward. But if we can get Deuce Knight some snaps, as Deion Sanders said, you don't learn anything from the bench. Get him those early starter reps, let him be able to understand the offense, get him in the flow of it, allow him to kind of understand what he's looking at in the college game. Then second, you want to look at Jeremiah Cobb, who in my opinion is the second best running back in the SEC. Give him a high volume, give him 25 to 20 carries, allow him to get himself organized, get himself ready for the Bama game, kind of allow him to be the best version of himself. And then we can't forget Cam Coleman, who is one of the best receivers in the SEC, and in my opinion, the best jump ball receiver we've seen since George Pickens. If we can get him the ball and get him ready to go against those Bama DBs this week, he should be an overall problem in the Bama game going up. But let's hope he can give us more than 200 in the Mercer game.
John, George Pickens was a fantastic pull. Thank you for joining us again this week. I feel like we could talk about this all day, but unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this segment. For the viewers, don't go anywhere, because when we return, we will have yet another guest. Eagle Eye reporter Cohen Dalzell will dive into all things Auburn men's sports in Eagle Eye's Men's Minute right after this. We spoke about it briefly earlier in the show, but Auburn football has quite an interesting slate to round off its season. You've heard about Mercer in the last segment, but realistically, the matchup on everyone's minds comes the following week in the form of the Alabama Crimson Tide. There's a lot at stake for both teams as the Tigers' bitter rival are in the position to be knocked out of the playoff conversation entirely, whereas Auburn's likely to be playing for their 6th win of the season, putting them in bowl territory.
It'd be nice to salvage a bowl game out of an otherwise disappointing season for the Tigers, but sweeter than that is the opportunity to knock the Tide out of the playoffs. It'll be a night game in Jordan-Hare, the place Nick Saban refers to as haunted. So expect some magic from DJ Durkin and company. Speaking of DJ Durkin, here's his thoughts ahead of the Mercer matchup.
Of the game, and I feel that we got better at it. So on the game week here, we're looking forward to being at home against a very good opponent. Mercer does a tremendous job. They're really well coached. Mike Jacobs, their head coach, is a guy I've known for a long time. He's an Ohio guy. He's won at all places he's been, extremely successful. They just clinched the conference again for back-to-back years.
Sounds like we know where his focus is. As we dive into the Men's Minute, Eagle Eye reporter Cohen Dalzell joins us to discuss some men's tennis. Cohen?
They are in Orlando this week for the NCAA Singles and Doubles Championships. The event started yesterday and will go through Sunday, November 23rd. Freddie and Billy Blades qualified for the doubles draw of the tournament. The Blades duo starts their path to the national championship versus number 2 DK Suresh and Andrew Delgado of Wake Forest tonight at 7 p.m. However, War Eagle Plus made a documentary about Auburn singles qualifier Amir Hamza Nazrednov, who already has advanced to the second round of the singles draw. Here's a preview of his story of getting to the NCAA championships.
Basically, I moved to Russia because of tennis. There was no opportunity in Tajikistan to play tennis. No really good, not at all good players to practice with, only my dad and me. So we decided to move to Russia. It's pretty hard to not live with your mom because basically she was taking care of me everywhere. And my siblings, my brother, it was way tougher because I'm alone. My dad was working whole day, so I was just practicing and being alone whole day, just studying alone. No brothers, no sisters. So my life really changed a lot. It was pretty tough, but at least with my dad, he was helping me. I was not really feeling lonely, but it was still tough without mom and my siblings.
That story really goes to show that it can be bigger than sports at times. Now we're going to move from championships to regionals. Auburn cross country was at the NCAA South Regionals last Friday, November 14th. Evan Hill and Joshua Kosgei posted good times in their NCAA regional debuts in the 10K. Hill placed 77th with a time of 31:34.73, and Kosgei placed 81st with an overall time of 31:39.00. But the bright spot for Auburn was Nixon Chebby, who qualified for his second straight NCAA championships in the 10K. He finished third overall in the regional with a personal best time of 29:13.47. The Kenyan will represent Auburn in the 2025 NCAA Cross Country Championships this Saturday, November 22nd in Columbia, Missouri. They will run at the Gans Creek Cross Country course. Now, we'll run down the diving board and into the pool for some Auburn diving. Diving was in Atlanta for the Georgia Tech Invite and took home 3 event wins, including 2 top 10 performances in program history. Ethan Swart took home the win in the men's 1 meter, while Juliet Landy took care of business in the women's 1 meter. Both divers, however, had a top 10 performance in program history in the 3 meter dive. Swart jumped to 9th all-time with a 392.10, and Landy into 6th all-time with a 344.25. Auburn's final victory of the day came in platform as Emily Halifax, the French Olympian, cruised to first place with a 301.30. Auburn swimming and diving has the NC State Invite this weekend in Greensboro, North Carolina. After that, it's on to some big winter events for the teams as the U.S. Open of Swimming and Diving is hosted December 3rd through 6th. Now to our final topic of this segment. It's Auburn baseball's final exhibition of the fall season. They hosted the Orange and Blue World Series, a 3-game scrimmage series to close out baseball until the spring. Auburn starts up the real 2026 season at Globe Life Field Friday, February 20th versus Kansas State. At the desk, they have some trivia for you on this squad.
Cohen, you teed that one up so nicely that we had to stick with baseball for trivia. Coming from the ballpark, what is Auburn baseball's recruiting class currently ranked? Is it A, 9th, B, 8th, C, 7th, or D, 6th?
We'll have that answer for you after the commercial, and we have plenty of women's sports to walk you through, including a record number in attendance and another top 10 matchup. Get ready for the Eagle Eye Women's Watch when we come back. Before the break, Kitty asked, what is Auburn baseball's recruiting class currently ranked? Was it A, 9th, B, 8th, C, 7th, or D, 6th? If you guessed letter C, well, you'd be correct, because Butch Thompson did it again, and the Tigers are ranked 7th nationally with their new recruiting class, according to Perfect Game, and includes stars from Wisconsin all the way down to Florida.
It's always good to see that recognition. One team that I swear doesn't get the hype they deserve, Equestrian. Our equestrian team is currently ranked number 2 in the nation, and this Friday they will take on number 1 Georgia at home. I mean, come on, you just can't miss this. The game will be a jersey out at 3 p.m. with free admission. Let's show up for our Tigers as they have a chance to take down the Bulldogs and be crowned number 1 in the nation. Apparently there was another event that couldn't be missed. Right, Cohen?
That's right, Kitty. Auburn women's basketball hosted the largest non-conference crowd in program history versus Mississippi Valley State for Education Day. Thousands of local kids packed the stands and cheered the Tigers on as they took the day game victory 110-50. Cottie Lay put in 20 points and had 7 boards for Auburn, and Eric Angui posted her first career double-double with 11 points and 11 rebounds. The Tigers shot a blistering 9 of 13 from deep and buried the Delta Devils. After a blowout win against MVSU, Auburn squeaked out a 5th straight victory against Georgia State 69-65. Auburn's 5-0 start is the first one for the Tigers in nearly a decade, making this a historic start for the team. Harrison Koulibaly led the team with 19 points, while Kadile had a double-double with 12 points and 10 boards. Here's what head coach Larry Vickers has to say about Auburn's early success.
We have to have a different mentality on every possession to eliminate those runs. You know, especially when we get into conference play on the road, we were at home, so it wasn't like we didn't have our crowd today. When a team makes a run like that, it could really, break you and change the game.
It sounds like Auburn's new coach is settling into his role comfortably. We'll see a Big Ten opponent in Rutgers for Hardwood Harvest tomorrow. It will be right down the road at Neville Arena, and if you want to get in last-minute event before the break, I recommend this one. While Coach Vickers is about to face stronger teams, the Auburn volleyball team has been feeling all of the hits from their strength of the schedule after falling to Texas A&M in 3 sets the week prior. Auburn volleyball hosted number 3 Texas at Neville Arena. Graham Bauer is on scene for senior night, and he has more from the star-studded matchup.
This evening at Neville Arena, the Auburn women's volleyball team takes on the number 4 ranked Texas Longhorns in this SEC matchup for their last home game of the season. Let's see the highlights.
After a long power outage delay, the game finally started and both teams were ready to get going. The Longhorns started off great and were on a heater. They gained leads in both the first and second sets, not allowing the Tigers to gain any consistent momentum, taking both sets for the win and going up 2-0, looking to devastate the Tigers and sweep them on their own turf. However, even with a 2-set lead, the Tigers did not back down. Senior Liz Markovska had a response. She had a total of 20 kills tonight and 14 digs. She took every opportunity to strike back and keep the Tigers in the game, helping them to win the third set by a score of 25-21. Along with her, sophomore Lauren Dreves contributed immensely with a total of 17 kills and 7 digs, being a large factor in the fourth set win for the Tigers, outscoring the Longhorns by 3 points to win 25-22, now tying the game 2-2 and forcing a fifth set. Finally, senior Belle Zimmerman was also a key player in tonight's matchup, with 13 kills and 4 blocks, helping to sway more momentum towards the Tigers and help them to stay alive. However, it wouldn't be enough as the Longhorns break off in the fifth set and win 15-9, taking the game by a score of 3-2.
The Auburn Tigers fall just short today against the Texas Longhorns by a score of 3-2 in their last home game. I'm Graham Bauer, Eagle Eye TV.
Auburn will play the winner of Arkansas and Oklahoma for the chance to take on SEC regular season champions Kentucky on Sunday. Auburn is still looking for a big win to get them into the NCAA tournament, and this is their last chance to get one before Selection Day. We're going to do a switch from the hardwood court to an outdoor court. Auburn women's tennis sent Ashton Bowers and Ava Esposito to Orlando for the NCAA Singles Championship on Tuesday. They won't finish competition until Sunday. Ashton Bowers was named the co-champion at her last outing for the ITA Southern Regional Championships. Her teammate Ava Esposito made her way to the NCAA champions for her performance at the ITA South Sectional Championships. We will be cheering them on from Auburn, and I'm going to end this ride by tossing it over to the desk for some equestrian trivia.
Thanks, Cohen. You always have something new for us. We'll be moving on to our second trivia question of the night. How many top 10 opponents has the Auburn equestrian team played? Is it A, 4, B, 6, C, 8, or D, 10?
We'll have that answer right after a short break. When we welcome you all back, we will start trending Tigers, and there might just be some rings involved. If you're curious, stick with us. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. When we left off, Kitty promised you an answer to our second trivia question, which was, how many top 10 opponents has Auburn equestrian played? Was it A, 4, B, 6, C, 10, or C, 8, or D, 10, excuse me. If you guessed letter B, well, you hit the money. I'm convinced you cannot talk about strength of schedule and forget the Auburn equestrian team. In the first 7 outings of the season, they faced 6 top 10 opponents.
While those girls are making a name for themselves, we want to talk about some athletes that are continuing to bring pride to the Auburn name. Coming in at number 4, we have Jamian Sherwood. The Jet had 8 tackles in their 14-27 loss to the Patriots. On the season, he has 43 solo tackles, which ranks him 19th in the NFL. Not half bad if you ask me.
I have to agree, and he's certainly a bright spot amongst a Jets team that was absolutely shaken up by a series of trades. At number 3, we have some love for the kickers of the world. Daniel Carlson contributed 10 of the Raiders' 16 points in their 16-33 loss to the Cowboys. He went 3 for 3 on field goals, including a 45-yarder.
Number 2 this week comes from a guy that just might be number 1. Demel Dean was the highest graded cornerback this season with a 90.5, and he also had the lowest passing rating allowed among cornerbacks with 29.7. All of that, and he's number 2 on our list. Why is that, Brooks?
Well, Kitty, our number 1 guy hit the mark on performances both on and off the field. At number 1, we have Darius Slayton. He had 343 receiving yards this season. His 14.9 yards per catch were not only the only reason he's number 1 for us because, well, I promised you some rings. And this week, he got down on one knee, not to end the game, but to propose to heptathlon champion Anna Hall.
For a very wholesome trending Tiger spotlight, the men's baseball team had a heartfelt day with DSA. Down Syndrome Alabama works with individuals with Down syndromes and their families in Auburn to create meaningful experiences like these. We love to see our Tigers giving back to the community and making friends in the process.
Now let's take a look at the fresh talent heading to the Plains. Last week, the men's golf team signed Hampton Beebe from West Palm Beach, Florida. Hampton is averaging 14.22 points and just days after his commitment to Auburn, secured a first-place win in the Florida State High School Tournament, shooting 4 under. BB will definitely be an exciting player to watch next year.
And at number, Brooks, you're going to have to help me with this one because I don't know if I can say it with a straight face.
Well, it's about 2 numbers, and the combination of them were the word of the year.
If you guys can recall that there was a record attendance at the women's basketball game, then you might also remember that it was education night. Let's just say that kids went crazy when the Lady Tigers reached a certain score. Take a look.
My ears are still ringing from that one, but we had to have that as our number because, well, 6'7" might just be the trendiest tagline yet. Before we leave tonight, we want you to see one play in particular again. SportsCenter had it as their number 1 play, and we have it as our play of the week. Of course, it's Elijah Freeman's poster dunk over 2 Houston defenders. I can't say I've ever seen a dunk quite like it, and well, hopefully it bodes well for the rest of the season for Freeman.
On that note, that's all we have time for today. For more Sportsnet in Auburn and Eagle Eye Sports, follow our Instagram and Twitter pages. Make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube and tune in every single week. My name is Kitty Diamond.
And for all of us here in the Eagle Eye studio, Cohen and John and everyone behind the camera, our producers are Sophia Weber and Jack Sublett. I'm Brooks Crew. This has been Sports Night in Auburn. Good night and War Eagle.